friends, and welcome to another video. If you guys missed the memo, which I think would be kind of hard to because I feel like I've talked about it kind of ad nauseum over the last year, is I used to be a primarily thriller reader, and then through a series of events, including reading a bunch of thrillers that sucked ass, losing my best friend who I used to buddy read thrillers with, and quite frankly just needing a little bit of joy in my life, I've stepped away from them. But this year so far, the ones that I have read, I've really been enjoying. And I think maybe that means it is time to step back into the thriller genre and read some thrillers that are from authors that I have really enjoyed before, so that maybe we will get something good out of them. In my recent roll for reads video, these three thrillers, that is hard to say, these three thrillers ended up on my TBR, and I figured what better way to showcase them than in a little thriller reading vlog. So let's go over what we're going to be reading. The first book that I'm going to talk about, this is also the first book that I am going to be reading. I have this loaded up on my Kindle. Freida's books I think are all on KU. After I read this book, I think I only have left Dead Med, the Dr. Scrub whatever duology, and then maybe one or two short stories. Then I'll have read her entire backlist. Let me know if you want an entire Freida McFadden ranking video whenever I finish that up. Maybe I'll do a video finishing up all of her books. Let me know what you think. But we are going to be reading The Wife Upstairs. This one I've seen people compare it to The Housemaid, which I love The Housemaid, but I don't need another book that's exactly the same, so we'll see how I feel about it. The synopses are always pretty short in her books because they're thrillers, and I love that her books are super fast-paced and have super quick chapters. But this says, Victoria Barnett has it all. A great career, a handsome and loving husband, a beautiful home in the suburbs, and a plan to fill it with children. Life is perfect, or so it seems. Then she is in a terrible accident, and everything falls apart. Now Victoria is unable to walk. She can't feed or dress herself, and she can't even speak. She is confined to the top floor of her house with a 24-hour care. Sylvia Robinson is hired by Victoria's husband to help her care for her, but it turns out Victoria isn't as impaired as Sylvia was led to believe. There's a story Victoria desperately wants to tell the world, if only she could get the words out. When Sylvia discovers Victoria's diary hidden away in a drawer, what's inside is shocking. So this seems to me kind of like a mix between The Housemaid and The Only One Left by Riley Sager, but we will see. I gave both those books I think 5 stars, so I'm excited to see how that one goes. Then we've got The Secrets of Us by Lucinda Berry. I have a very love-hate relationship with Lucinda Berry. I recently got the audio for this, and I don't know how the audio is as long as it is because this book's only 230 pages. But I have read some books by Lucinda Berry that I have loved, and I've read some that I have hated. She is a psychologist, so I feel like the psychology in her books is always very interesting, coming from somebody who actually has a degree in that. But this one says, loyalty is a form of madness. Foster sisters Crystal and Nicole have always been there for each other. So when Nicole is committed to the psychiatric hospital after trying to kill her husband, Crystal drops everything to defend her. Scarred by a hard upbringing, Nicole and Crystal managed to construct comfortable lives for themselves. Crystal has become a respected lawyer, and Nicole was happily married to an architect until Nicole started raving that her husband isn't her husband, believing he's an imposter. Driven by fierce loyalty, Crystal starts asking questions, but she's not sure she can bear the answers. Her investigation leads to the sisters' dark shared past, to a horrible tragedy and a well-guarded lie that cemented their sisterly bond. But that lie can't kill the truth. The battered, gasping, clawing truth that's coming for both of them. Now Crystal and Nicole must fight for both of their lives they've built before they're consumed by the one they left behind. So it sounds very interesting. And finally, we've got The House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman. This is a pretty low average rating on Goodreads, but both my friend Kirsten and Kayla from Books and Lala gave this a pretty high ranking. The audio for this is only 4 hours, so it's not going to consume a lot of my time. It's a very short novella. But this one says, the story begins. Young lovers anxious to connect agree to a first date, thinking outside the box. At 17 years old, James and Amelia can feel the rest of their lives beginning. They have got this summer and this summer alone to experience the extraordinary. But they didn't expect to find it in the house at the bottom of the lake. The house is cold and dark, but also their own. Caution be damned, until being carefree becomes dangerous, for the teens must decide. Swim deeper into the house, all while facing all will falling deeper in love or return to the surface to safety and sanity. What they do, they will never be able to turn their backs on what they did. Whatever they do, they'll never be able to turn their backs on what they discover together and what they learn. Just because the house is empty does not mean nobody's home. So if it's a haunted house, I'm gonna live, laugh, love it. But these are the 3 books we are gonna get into in today's video. Shitty living room footage because my husband's sleeping. He fell asleep hella early tonight, like before 10 o'clock, and for us that's pretty early. I work for myself and he works, like his work schedule is he doesn't go into work till 10:40 and he doesn't get home till like 9 o'clock typically. I mean, today's his day off, but because of that we're on like a sleep schedule. Why do I feel like my shirt is buttoned all fucked up? Hold on. Maybe not. But because of that, we're on this schedule where usually we don't go to bed till around like midnight. He doesn't usually go to bed till around midnight. I don't usually go to bed till like 2, 3 o'clock. But I don't know. He went to bed at like 9. My current theory is that he's getting too much. He's like, I don't know why I'm always so tired. And I'm like, my dude, I think you're getting too much sleep because like you're going to bed at like 11 and getting up at 9:30, and I just like don't think you need that much sleep, and I think it's causing you to be like extra tired because that's like what happens to me when I sleep too much. But anywho, I'm about halfway through The Wife Upstairs by Freida McFadden, and this is very much so giving vibes of like Verity mixed with The Only One Left by Riley Sager. Verity by Colleen Hoover. So in this book, we've got our main girl, Sylvie. And Sylvie just recently lost her job, and she has kind of this like ex-boyfriend that won't leave her alone type of situation. And she's on her way to a job interview at like a sleazy bar when she runs into this guy. It's a serendipitous moment because he was actually in the city, New York City, to interview a woman to come be the caretaker for his wife. But the woman did not show up to her job interview. So he's like, maybe this is fate saying that you should be who comes to work for us. They do this interview. He's offering her like $1,500 a week as well as free room and board, the use of his wife's car, so on and so forth. She goes for like a trial to meet his wife. And so he has this wife, Victoria. And Victoria had an accident. She fell down the stairs and experienced a traumatic brain injury. She has a big scar on her face, and she basically like is paralyzed. She's in a wheelchair. She can barely speak. They don't really know how much she can communicate, like how much that she understands with her brain injury. They're kind of unsure what's going on there, and she can say like some words. Usually she can maybe say yes or no, but other than that, she's pretty much not speaking. She's completely can't move one side of her body, and she can slightly move her other hand. A lot of the times she can't even really eat by mouth. All of her food has to be pureed, and she has like a feeding tube for if she's not getting enough nutrition, as well as she takes her medications through there because she has seizures. She's got a lot going on. Her husband, Adam, is that his name? I don't know why all of a sudden I can't. Yeah, Adam. Her husband, Adam, is a writer. He, you know, writes all of these books. He's like a thriller writer. And so anywho, Sylvie takes the job, and on one of her, like after a few weeks there, she's like really trying to communicate with Victoria. She talks to her all the time. She just tells her about her life, talks to her, does her hair, tries to make her feel like a person again. And she kind of starts, she says Sylvie's name. She's trying to talk to her and tell her things. And basically, she lets Sylvie know that she like gets her to get into her drawer and finds her diary. So every few chapters, we're getting these diary entries that are basically Victoria and Adam's relationship. We see this whirlwind romance where they move in together after 3 months, and we can see how after a couple of months, he becomes more and more controlling, telling her she's a slut for wearing a skirt. They have to have all of their belongings separate. On the fridge, he gets the top shelf and the bottom shelf, and anything on the middle shelf has to be labeled. They have to have their own individual toothpaste. They don't share anything. He's very controlling and whatever. And every morning when Sylvie goes to wake or to feed Victoria breakfast. She's like super lethargic and she basically doesn't wake up until like after lunchtime. And she has to keep Victoria's nails cut really, really short because she basically tries to attack Adam whenever he tries to give her her medication. I think we've basically kind of, I feel like it was from the beginning, I've assumed that he's drugging her. He seems like bad news bears. I feel like he's drugging her and that's why she's so lethargic in the mornings. Because, you know, she is being drugged and then by the time the drugs are out of her system around lunch or dinner time, she's like a little bit more with it. And that's why she fights him on taking her medication. But we are also getting that same kind of trope that's like in Verity, where Adam is this man who has this wife who's had this traumatic brain injury, but he's 35 and hot and horny, and he has this young little thing there helping his wife, and so naturally they start fucking. And I feel like that's bad news bears, and that's where I think this is going to turn into a little bit of The Housemaid, where they start fucking. And I don't know how this is going to go. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you if any of my theories are right, but I also have like a feeling that it's going to be like The Housemaid a little bit. We will see. So maybe it's going to be like Verity mixed with The Only One Left, mixed with The Housemaid. I say The Only One Left because in The Only One Left, she's like writing letters to her to tell her her life story. And I feel that way with the like diary. But so far I'm enjoying it. I have not read a Freida book like with my eyeballs in a while, but I'm like halfway done and it's like 10 or 11. It's like, no, it's definitely probably closer to 11:30. I'm probably just gonna go finish this because I'm really not tired. I do have a really bad headache, which is making me not want to read, but at this point I'm just like, I might as well finish it because why not? So we will see where the wind takes us on this one, but I am enjoying it. It's feeling like a 4-star as of right now, and I really can't complain. It's what I need it to be at this point in time, at this current juncture. Also, one last thing I do have to tell you, coming out here to do this update in the dark, in nighttime, when the scenes that I was just reading was like, it was a dark and stormy night, it was pretty spooky. But I was brave, and I did it. Alrighty friends, did I bend the cover of this? Yes, but that's my bad. We have finished The Wife Upstairs. I did stay up last night and I did read this cover to cover in one sitting and I gave it 4 stars. A lot of people think that this book is plagiarism of Verity. I haven't read Verity in quite some time, so maybe I'm just forgetting some plot points. Could be, I don't know. I had fun with it. It felt like Verity mixed with The Only One Left mixed with The Housemaid. That is how I would pitch this, and I don't really want to say all that much about the second half because obviously lots of twists and turns be happening in Freida books, especially in the second half, but there was a couple of twists that I predicted, but there was one main twist that I, for some reason, did not see coming, and I had fun, okay? I did. I had quite a fun time with this one. It was what I needed. I have not read like a little stupid popcorn thriller in quite some time, and I am happy to have this one off the TBR and to have read it. With that being said, do I think that this is an incredible book? No. Do I think it's well written? No. It's objectively bad, but that didn't change the fact that I had fun. And that's just that for me. But yeah, that is where we're at with this thriller video. I don't know what we're gonna get up to next. Maybe the Josh Malerman one because it is so short. I think the audio is literally like 4 hours. But we will see. I have quite a few other videos I need to wrap up before I continue on in this video. But I just wanted to let y'all know it was good. I liked it. All right, friends. I am hoping to honestly listen to both this and the Lucinda Berry book today because I don't have a video to go up tomorrow. So if I am able to listen to both of these today, I can edit the video tonight and put it up for you for tomorrow. So if you're seeing this on the 27th of May, then I succeeded. If not, then I failed. But we are going to listen to, I'm probably going to listen to the whole audio of this, which is A House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman, because the audio is only 4 hours, and I listen to audio at 3 times speed, so it's only going to be like an hour and 20 minutes for me to listen to this. And because it is like 180 pages, I don't know that there's really going to be much to say at halfway through. And because this is horror, I feel like I would rather listen to the whole thing so I know what is and what is not a spoiler. So we're gonna go listen to A House at the Bottom of the Lake, Rate Meow, and I will check in with you guys when I am done. Ignore my laundry basket there and the extra pillows, but I just finished, I'm so cold, my fingers feel numb, but I just finished A House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman, and man is this one weird. So this is about this couple, Amelia and James, and essentially they go on this first date and they're looking at this lake and that like his uncle is pretty familiar with. They know that there's like the main lake and there's a secondary lake that most people don't go to, but then they find this third lake, and as they're canoeing on this third lake they realize that there's something underneath the water, and upon further examination they realize that it is like a fully intact house. They end up going back in like wetsuits and scuba diving gear to examine it, and it is this whole like literally perfectly intact house. But the thing that's super weird about it is like in the kitchen there's like a knife block on the counter with the knives in it. Like nothing is floating the way it would be in water, and nothing looks like it's waterlogged or been there a long time. It's like this perfectly intact house. You know, like when you're like younger and you go to like a carnival or like a theme park or something and you go into one of those like if you guys have ever been to like Wonderworks, it's like that when you go into the room where it's like it's an upside down room where like everything's on the ceiling and somehow it's not falling down. It's like that, but this house underwater. And so as they start to like develop this relationship with each other, they're really like, I don't know, it's like this weird bond, like they want to lose their virginities in this house under the water. The whole thing absolutely bizarre, but I don't really want to say too much about like what happens in the house and the vibes of the house because this is 180 pages. So just know, I thought it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. I tend to almost never give novellas or short stories more than 3 stars because I am somebody who likes to really feel connected to the story, and I just don't feel like that's possible in like less than 200 pages. You know what I mean? So we are about to move into The Secrets of Us. The audio for this is 8 hours, so this is only going to take me like 2.5 hours to listen to, and it's only 1:30. So there's pretty much no way in hell I don't finish this today. I am excited. I have not read a Lucinda Berry in quite some time. I feel like her books for me are either like 5 stars or 3 stars, and I'm hoping that this is good. So far I do think that the Freida book is my favorite that we've read in this video, but I'm glad to have another Josh Malerman checked off. I do love him. I love the Bird Box series in particular, as well as I really enjoyed Incidents Around the House. And I am interested, again, I've obviously loved Lucinda Berry in the past, to see where this one goes. Okay friends, we are about halfway through The Secrets of Us, and this book is stressing me out. So in this book we have these 2 sisters, Nicole and Crystal. They were foster sisters and kind of were pretty much all each other had. Their birthdays were really close to each other, so they considered each other like they were twins. They also lived at this farm with like this woman and her biological daughter. Her husband had died, and so like at school the 2 girls, Crystal and Nicole, were really popular at school, and like they were getting scholarships for track and all of these things, whereas their sister, like the foster mom's biological child, she was bullied and she was really mean to people, and she was just kind of like a shithead. and she would torment Crystal and Nicole. So we're getting all these chapters in the past of their childhood growing up. Nowadays, Nicole is married to this very successful architect, and Crystal is a lawyer. Crystal gets this call from the hospital that Nicole is in the hospital in like the psych unit. She burnt down her house, tried to kill her husband, and she's having a psychotic break. So now we are at the hospital where Nicole is trying to really figure out, was that correct? No. Crystal is, I keep getting their names confused. Crystal is really trying to figure out what happened to Nicole. Like, basically the way that they're kind of framing it is that she tried to kill her husband because she barricaded the doors, but whenever she talks to Crystal, she's like, that's not my husband, he's not my husband. And so Crystal's trying to like become a detective, hire a lawyer, and try to figure out what is going on here and if there is some truth to anything that Nicole is saying. So far, it's very interesting, and I really have no idea where this story could go, which is something that I really like. I feel like there's plenty of ways that this could go. Like, I'm obviously on team Nicole did not try to kill him and that he is not who he says he is. And I feel like because we are getting so much backstory about their lives and this sister that like tormented them, like for example, like she would lock them in like the feed area of like the barn overnight. She would torment them like, oh, go see what the pigs are doing while they're being slaughtered, and she was just really horrible towards them. So I feel like she has to have something to do with it because we were focusing so much on her in the past chapters, but we will see. Alrighty friends, and just like that, we have finished The Secrets of Us, and let me tell you, this book was so good. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. There was so many twists. I don't really want to tell you too much about the second half. I feel like I do unfortunately sound like a broken record in this video, being like, I don't want to tell you too much because this is obviously a thriller video, and I think the whole like draw to thrillers is the fact that there are a lot of twists and turns. So if I were to tell you a ton about it, then that would kind of ruin all of those surprises. So we're just kind of going to keep them a little bit secret. But the second half of the book, we really dive more into finding a diagnosis as to what is going on with Nicole, getting to the bottom of what happened all those years ago that led them to have some sort of sealed juvenile record, and where they ended up and how they got to where they are. Seeing all of those loose ends get tied up was, whew, so interesting. And then, yeah, getting to see what was really going on with her, also so fantastically interesting. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that Lucinda Berry is actually, like, she has a degree in psychology. Yeah, she's a former psychologist and leading researcher in childhood trauma. And I feel like that actual knowledge played such a huge role in what made this book so successful. But with that being said, we have read all 3 of these. My ranking, I think I probably liked this one the best because I mentioned this in my TikTok, and honestly a lot of people were like, you nailed it. Freida books are McDonald's. Are they objectively good? No, but do I love it anyway? Yes. So that was a fun time. This, also a fun time. This was more like a twisty whodunit thriller. This was more like a psychological thriller. This was crazy. And then this one was just okay. But with that being said, I am so excited to get these off my TBR. And again, I'm feeling so much more rejuvenated this year to like reading thrillers, because I do feel like for a while there I was deeply off of them. So I'm happy to say that we had some bangers in today's video. Let me know if you've read any of these, which one of these 3 authors is your favorite, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!